That's right. Your mama said you better do your homework. So if mama said you better do your homework, you better do your homework. Don't make me angry. All right, we're going to be dealing with page 3 or 5 of this beautiful short packet, which gives you a complete summary of the algebras covered in the SATs. Now, you may have seen page 1 of 5 and page 2 of 5 videos. This is page 3 of 5. I'm going to try and keep it nice and TITE, tight, 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 tight. All right, question number 5. Let's see what's going on here. This is a table. And one of the things you got to recognize are tables that show you information that is so glaringly apparent, it gives you a correct answer. When I take a look at the x value, -1 and 0, what's the absolute value difference? It's 1. What about between 0 and 1? It's 1. What about 1 and 2? It's 1. See, the SAT's College Board, they know that most students wouldn't even think about doing this, but what's the absolute value difference of f of x, right? Remember, f of x always equals y, so they're showing your y coordinate. This is a difference of 1 and 17, 18 is a difference of 1, 18, 19 is a difference of 1. And notice that it is positive. It's increasing in value for each one. We cool? So therefore, this is a linear formula that's given to you in the grid. It's not exponential. Exponential would be, I'll put it in red, right? Let's say we had the same x values, -1, 0, 1, and 2. And let's say they showed us for our y values, they showed us 16, and then they showed us 19, and then they showed us 27, and then they showed us 81. I'm sorry. It's look a little too like you can find a pattern. Let's say there's no pattern to it, and they're all different, right? The difference of these two is going to be 3. The difference of these two is going to be 8, and the difference of these two is going to be 60. So therefore, it's going to be exponential. So judging by this, we got two answers that are dead in the water. Now, is it increasing or decreasing? Remember, we went from 16 and it's going up 17, going up 18, and this is also increasing. So therefore, it is increasing linear. Ain't that sweet? Sweet ginger brown. Next question, number 11. A lot of students that get nervous about this because it's very wordy. We like these questions though, because when we're dealing with these questions, we know they're going to give us a recipe and we're going to have to find out which of the answer choices from bottom up matches up the recipe that's given to you within a question. Here they're shown as f of t equals 14t plus 9. Well, I also know that is slope-intercept formula, y equals 14x plus 9, where 9 is my y-intercept and my rise over run, or my slope is 14. Now they're telling me that that function gives me the estimated length in inches. So I know if I solve this, I'm going to get y inches, but what's my 14 related to? Inches. What's my 9 related to? Inches. And then x is going to be my variable. In this case, what is x representing? T months or x months. So everything is in inches except for the x or the t months. Now after Tavon purchased it, which of the following is the best interpretation of 9 in this context? Well, we did say it's y equals mx plus b. And what is our b? Our y-intercept when x equals 0. So whenever you see y-intercept being mentioned in the question, that's when x equals 0. Likewise, the opposite, if they ever mention x-intercept, that is when y equals 0. But we don't care about this in this question. We care about what we had seen. B equals 9. So let's go with our answers. Is it D? The estimated length of the vine plant was 9 inches when Tavon first purchased it at the very beginning. Yeah, we got our answer right there. But just don't bite it. Check the other answers. Is C better than D? The vine plant is expected to grow a maximum length of 9 inches. No, that's wrong. The vine plant is expected to grow 9 inches each month. No, it's not 9 inches each month. It's actually 14 inches each month. So this is dead. Tavon will keep the vine plant for 9 months. There's nothing in the question talking about keeping it for 9 months. And if we did keep it for 9 months, then we'd have to take 9 and plug it into 14 times 9 plus 9. Then we know what the answer is. So A does not work either. This is basically just slope theory. They're trying to see whether or not you recognize what the rules of y equals mx plus b happen to be. Here's another one. You guys got this. If I gave you 10 seconds to review the question, you say, oh, I'm not afraid to answer choices. I'll attack them from bottom up and then carefully go into the question. The certain township consists of 5-hectare industrial park and a 24-hectare neighborhood. Oh, two different pieces, right? 5-hectare industrial, and then you have a 24-hectare. What's a hectare? We don't care. But we know we have 5 of one and 24 of the other, one industrial and one neighborhood. Keep it simple. I might just do this. I might say, oh, I got I, and I've got, what is it? I for, and then N for neighborhood, right? I could put 24N, and I could say I got 5I. Ta-da! The total number of trees in a township is 4,529. When they told me about the hectares, right, they didn't mention trees, but they tell me now, all of a sudden we got trees involved in this equation, and it's going to total 4,529. So now if I were to add these two, what is it? Industrial plus 24 neighborhood equals 4529. Then my trees have to be built into the I industrial or my N neighborhood. Now let's go into the question, the rest of the question, I mean. The equation 5x plus 24y, very similar to what we've done here, but they're using I, instead of I, they're using x, and for n, they're using y, equals 4529. Then the easy question, which of the following is the best interpretation of x? Well, we know that it is industrial, so take a look at your answers from the bottom up. Is it D, the total number of trees in the neighborhood? No, we're dealing with industrial, so see you later. Is it C, the total number of trees in the industrial park? We'll keep that answer because it is mentioning the industrial, which is our X. The next one, is it the average number of trees per hectare in the neighborhood? No, we're dealing with industrial. And then we see answer choice A. Is it the average number of trees per hectare in the industrial park? All right, it is between A and C. Now, we know we have 5 hectares in the industrial park, but it's all about the number of trees. What does the X involve? It's going to be the number of trees. So it's not the total number of trees. It's not the total number of trees. Ooh, it's got to be A, the average number of trees per hectare. A, why? Because this would represent the number of trees. What is the 5? It's just the number of hectares. So let's say I had 10 trees, then 5 times 10 is going to equal 50 trees in my hectares, 5 hectares in the industrial park. So A has to be the best answer. All right, question number 2. We take a look at this puppy and say, what's up, kitty cat? Oh no, puppy cat. For training pro, take a look at the answer choices. They're formulas. So since they're giving us formulas, this is going to be an easy peasy question. On top of that, notice this question number 2. That means it is an easy question. Compared to the previous questions, question number 17, which means it's on the border of being hard, maybe medium hard or easy hard, but it's certainly a harder question. Now we go to question number 2. I see the formulas, I'm good to go. For a training program, 1 rides his bike at an average rate of 5.7 minutes per mile. Okay, that's kind of ratio, right? 5.7 minutes per mile, where which function m models the number of minutes it will take 1 to ride x miles at this rate. Oh, so it's going to be 5.7, and then per mile, we could say our miles are m, but in this case, they want you to use x for miles. So that means 5.7x. So our formula is going to be y equals 55.7m or y equals 5.7x because they want you to change it from miles to x. I think we got our answer. This is the answer right there. Now notice each answer choice is slope-intercept formula. Each one is showing you y equals. Y equals, can it be x minus 5.7? No, that means we'd be decreasing. We're actually riding along. This is going to be x over 5.7. That makes no darn sense. Could it be b? Nope, it's not going to be b. Remember, it's 5.7 per, here I put a little slash there, per mile, per x. So therefore, D is the best answer and B is out. Basic interpretation, but I've had students over the last few days get a little, what do you call it? Crossed up by this type of question. All right, let's go to, question number 16, a true medium level question. Let's break this sucker down. I see the answer choices. They're formulas. They're just like the previous question. Now we're going to see where it gets a little harder, I guess. Now we take a look at the question. The relationship between the two variables x and y is linear. All right, so we definitely know we're dealing with y equals mx plus b because they told us it is linear. Or if you get confused with what linear is because it sounds foreign, just look at, you see L-I-N-E, line. So it's linear. It's involving lines, so slope-intercept formula. Then they tell us for each increase in the value of x by 1, the value of y increases by 8. All right, so there's a 1 to 8 ratio with x to y. It's a 1 to 8 ratio. That's what they explained to us. But continue reading. Here's where they were going to try and trap you, high GPA students, because you guys are going to over anticipate what this question is doing, and you're going to jump to conclusions. No, continue reading carefully. Now to give you an example, when the value of x is 2, the value of y is 18. All right, let me do a quick little T-grid. When the value of x is 2, the value of y is 18. That's an example for one of these formulas. Now, let's have some fun with this. Let me erase this right here. I want some space. I'm going to show you a little example how you can manipulate this test. All right, based on what they said for every increase of 1 in x. So let's say we increase it by 1 in x. What happens to y? It increases by 8. So our answer would be 26. Well, what if you work backwards? What if you decreased our x by 1? So that would be x equals 1. So what would happen to the y value? It's going to decrease by 8. So that would be 10. What if we decrease it one more by 1? That would be 0. And then what is 10 minus 8? That would be 2. Hey, what did you notice? We got our y-intercept. When x equals 0, then we have our y value. That's going to be the y-intercept. Which answer is showing you y-intercept of 2? Only one answer, so this is your answer. In and out of the question. Ding dong. Now, if you didn't like that, then test an answer out. Let's say x equals 3. So that would be 8 times 3, which is 24. Don't forget, plus 2 would equal 26. Is that what we got here? Yes, indeed. Oh, what if you don't trust that? You want to use the original numbers they gave you? All right, let's plug in 2. 8 times 2 is 16, plus 2 equals 18, which is the same answer they got for y. So therefore, C is the best answer. All right, let's go to a dirty. This is dirty dog, right? I should have put dirty dog. I'm going to put DAWG, dirty dog question. A lot of students get racked up on this, but I'm going to show you how to own it. Now, let's take 10 seconds. You pause the video for 10 seconds or 15 seconds, you try this question out. But within 5 or 10 seconds, you realize you got jacked in this question, just stop and then play the video and then see how it's done. All right? So go ahead and pause and go play. Let's pretend we just came back after 10 or 15 seconds. You say, dang, bro, I believe, and most students would say the answer is B as in bubbles. All right, let's see how we work this. The cost of renting a carpet cleaner is $52 for the first day. First day. Whenever they give you that in a deeper question, why I call it deeper? Because it's deep. Whenever you're into deep questions, be aware for trickiness. And this is tricky. When you see first day, or the first 2 days, that means we're certainly going to be spending $52 on the first day. And then it says, I'll do it in green, and $26 for each additional day, right? That's and, the word and means plus. I'm going to put the $26, but parenthesis for each additional day. The 52 is already accounted for the first day, right? So therefore, what do we put in parentheses? The number of days minus 1. That is the formula right there. But let's have some more fun with this. If I take my 52 and then I'm going to distribute my 26, right? That's going to give me a positive 26D. And then what's 26 times a negative 1? That'll be a negative 26. Let's combine like terms. I can combine this sucker and this sucker. What is it going to come out to? 26. And what do we have left over? Plus 26D. So which one is the best answer? Mama said A, and it ain't B. I know some of you guys are like, what? What the hey in the shenanay? Well, that's what you guys are up against, man. You guys all have taken Algebra 1 and Geometry 1, and I always say if you got at least a C minus in both those classes, you're ready to beat down the test. You know some basic fundamentals. Once you brush up on your fundamentals, then you're going to get familiar with the trickiness of the test. They got tricky questions, tricky answer choices, and they know how to manipulate. Everybody's taking the test, including myself. So I practice every day because it's my business. I have to help students every day. But I practice also because I take the stupid test. So if I'm going to take the test, I got to keep that blade sharp, yo. If I take a few days off, 3 days, oh, I'm too busy. I can't do this. Or mama said I got to do the dishes and clean my room. I said, Mama, Mr. Alberto told me to do my homework. I ain't got no time to do no dishes or clean my room. Then get busy, sit at the kitchen table, and get some of this work done. One page of how many questions do we have total on this page? 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 questions. You should be finished in 4.5 minutes working on these questions. You're going to find the questions that you own, like this one here, this question number 5, and then you find the questions that give you trouble within those 5 minutes because you're working on 9 questions. So within 5 minutes, you're going to identify your troublesome questions. And then what do you do for the next 10 minutes of your 15-minute homework assignment? Understand the questions that gave you trouble. Become friends with those questions and the way you answer them. And then take a break and take another 15 minutes and do grammar or reading. You do this on a daily basis, you're going to get swole. Your arm's going to look like this. Here, I'm not an artist, but I can certainly draw a big muscle on that shoulder. Beep, 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 beep. And everybody's going to be like, dang, he's got some muscles. All right. Or she's got the muscularities. Is that a word? All right, here we go. Question number 5. The point. Oh, I know. We got this. Hold on. Let me just wipe this sucker out. I got a little printing situation here. Let me just get rid of this The description should be in the gray box. I had to adjust it. Thank you for Julie for signaling me that there's something wrong with the setup of the question. All right, here we go. The point 8 and 2, doesn't that mean x and y, right, within the parenthesis? Yep, in the xy plane is a solution to which of the following system of inequalities? Oh, so x is 8. All right, let's check out. I'm going to exaggerate this, right? All right, so x is 8, right? Is 8 less than 0? No, so D is out. Is 8 less than 0? No, we're going to get rid of that. Is 8 greater than 0? Yes, we'll keep this answer. 8 greater than 0? Yeah, we'll keep this answer. I know, don't get mad at me. I didn't make the test. Y is 2. Is y equals 2? Is y less than 0? No, it's positive 2. So therefore, A must be our answer. Ooh, ooh. Question number 12. Question number 12. All right, this one is not that hard, right? This is a medium level question compared to the previous question, which is an easy question. But what's going on in here? All right, we see y is greater than 14. All right, that's cool. We see the second equation. Basically, it's slope-intercept formula. Now, students have asked me, is this a good question to plug into Desmos? Yeah, you could plug the formulas into Desmos. It's going to show you shaded areas. Remember you do lines and dotted lines, and it shows you shading going up or down, depending on the formula? Go ahead and do it. But the problem is that most students will get locked up and say, what am I supposed to look for my answer choices? So that's what I don't like. But here in this question, they're showing you your x and the y value that relates to this. So if y equals 53 and y is greater than 14, yes, that is true. 53 is greater than 14. Then let's plug that y into the second equation and see what happens. So I got 4x plus 53. Ooh, I got a little delay on this. A little, what do you call it? Drag, slag is less than 18. Can we go ahead and solve? All right, we're going to subtract 53 from both sides. Let me trust my calculator. Minus, no, that's divided by 18 equals, that'd be a negative 35. So 4x is less than negative 35. Uh-oh, you see that? I don't know what that is. Now we're going to divide both sides by 4. And what answer do we get? It's going to be x is less than a negative 8.75. So which answer can that be? It's got to be A as an Applejacks. We're in and out of the question. All right, so if you tried using Desmos, would you rather use Desmos for this question or do longhand? That's what you're going to be doing when you're preparing for the math section of the exam. You will be testing it out on Desmos and deciding whether or not you want to use Desmos. Let's say you use Desmos in this question, right? And you prefer to use Desmos. Then on that sheet, you should mark it as a D question, a Desmos question. Just mark it, use your own code if you have to. If you don't want to use Desmos on it, then just leave it blank. Any questions you want to use Desmos, then mark it. All right, question number 19. This is considered a hard question. Well, let's see how bad mamma jamma this sucker is. We see we have tables for answer choices. All right, cool. Now we see the question. We see that we have y is less than 5x plus 6. For the average student, right? What would he or she do? Now, some of you guys might say Desmotize it. I say, yeah, you could Desmotize it, or you could simply just plug in numbers. Let's try answer choice D. I'm going to take my x equals 7, right? And I'll stick it right in the equation, right? So what is 5 times 7? 35 plus 6 equals 41. But then I'm going to use the y value that they gave me and stick it in here. So therefore, is 41, right, that we got greater than 41? No, that doesn't make sense. It does not compute. So that's not an answer for our question. Do you guys get how this works? Students have seen this over the last week with me, and they've gotten jammed by it because they're unfamiliar with this type of question. Now we try answer choice C. Remember, this is a later, harder question, so we'll have plenty of time with this. They're using 7 again, but this time we got to get it to equal 45 or be greater than 45. So I'm going to stick my 45 for y. We already did the 5 times 7 is 35 plus 6 is 41. Is 41 greater than 45? Nope, C does not work. Let's try B. Let me erase this. You see, that's why I wish this was a paper-based test, because I wouldn't have to erase all the time. All right, let's try that 7, which must equal 37. I'm going to stick my 37 here. And it's still 7. That's going to be 41. Is 41 greater than 37? Yes, I have an answer so far. But I'm going to have to check one more time. Why? Because they show me answer choice A is 7 and 37. You see how that works? All right, now let's try 5. I got 5, and it should equal 35. So what if my y equals 35 and I plugged in 5? So what is, let me erase this, 5 times 5 equals 25 plus 6 equals 31. Is 31 greater than 35? No, so therefore the answer must be A. You guys get it? Let's try this one. 5 times 5 is 25 plus, that'd be 31. And then we have 27 would be our answer. Is 31 greater than 27? Yep, we got it. So A is our best answer. Pretty slick. Now, notice what I did. I worked backwards with the answers. I started with D, started with C, and then I went to B and A. Now, the more you practice, you'll start to realize, hey, I notice patterns with this test. Here's the pattern that the upper SAT student will detect. They'll see that they have 7 and 37 for these two, but there's a difference between these two, 527 and 535. So they wouldn't try these guys because they know they're going to be equal to each other, but they would try 527 and 535 to try and get their answer. And again, we said answer choice A. Is that it for this? Oh, yes, we completed this page. So the next video will be page 4 of 5. And hopefully, Mama doesn't make you do the dishes today. If you have any additional questions or you need additional help, you can always contact me at 786-877-7231. Man, there's an incredible lag with this. 877-7231. My name is Mr. Alberto. If you need, I don't know, anything, just contact me. Peace out. Until the next video.